Hello, this is Nick Romani from Morgantown, West Virginia. Today I wanted to show you how you can hook up three-way switches. Two switches on each side of the hallway and or wherever location you have, and you can operate one light or a series of light on two switches separately, and you can turn them on and off either direction. They're called three-way switches. And if you'd be so kind as to, if you find this video useful and helpful, please subscribe to my channel and give it a like. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please put it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer any questions that you may have. So the first thing I'm going to do is I set up this little gadget right here so I can demonstrate that for you. And this represents the switch on one end of the hallway, and this represents the switch on the other end of the hallway, or one location and switch at the other location. And this is the light that it will operate. And you could hook these lights up, daisy chain them to each other, and you can have up to 6 or 7 lights, and you can operate them from this switch. But here is everything that I got set up. So I got this thing going on right here, this plug right here. This represents your breaker box. So I didn't, I'm not gonna wire up something all the way to the breaker box, but this represents the breaker box. This represents your power source, breaker box, and I'm gonna hook it up to an extension cord. So what you can do is the first thing you gotta do, as always, is you gotta make sure you turn the power off before you start anything, any kind of projects whatsoever. So this is what we'll do. We'll get started. Okay, so what we got here, and these are specific to the task. These are three-way switches. As you can see, it's got a ground screw right here. It's got a brass screw right here, and it's got a black screw right here, and it's got another brass screw on right below the black screw. The black screw is called common. That's what it's called. So keep that word in hand. It's called common. Okay, they're both the same way, both the same switches. Okay, that's the switches you need. They're called three-way switches. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my handy dandy little tools right here. I'm going to grab my stripper, and I've already put that in there. This is the power source. As you can see, on one side you have to have the power source. Okay, right here's the power source. Okay, so I'm going to strip. You strip about an inch off right here with your handy dandy little stripper right here, and then you do the same thing right here on the other side, about an inch off, somewhere around there, and then you do the same thing on the other side. Okay, these are 14-2 wire. I don't like to use 14 gauge wire, but I'm using this because it's cheaper, and just for the sake of this demonstration and just to show you how it works. Okay, just same thing here. You just take off like an inch off, right here, and then same thing right here. You do same thing right here. All right, so all these now have some kind of bare spot. Okay, except for the ground. The ground's already bare all the way. So anyways, the next thing you do is you grab a 14-3 wire. Okay, I talked about this before. 14-3 wire. The only time you use 14-3 wire is between the switches. That's the only time you use it. Okay, you don't use it any other time. So I'm gonna take out enough, and I'm gonna cut it. Right here. I use the strippers for the 14-3 wire as well, but you got to know what you're doing. I would recommend that you use a knife. Make sure all I'm doing is just scoring, barely scoring. All you have to do is score, and then pull the wire. Boom! You got your wires stripped on the outside, and then you take the paper off. There's usually paper on it. You take the paper off. When you know it's going to give me a hard time right now to take the paper out. But anyways, take the paper off like that, and you do the same on the other side. Okay, You make sure you strip off about, I'd say somewhere around 10 inches, something like that. And then you kind of just score it. You don't squeeze you just want to score it. You know, you don't squeeze that, because if you squeeze it too much, that's not made for that, but I do it. If you just score it, you can just pull the wire out and it pulls the sleeve right off, and you do the same thing right here like that, okay? This is what you do. All right. So you put it, you slide this into your your box right here on one switch, and then you bring it up. You got to make sure that the part of your sleeve on the inside, that you have at least this much, like maybe an inch and a half inside your box, okay? So make sure you got this much of the sleeve inside the box. So you do the same thing on the other side, and you put it in right here, and an inch, kind of fold it so it stays in there, or you can kind of squeeze the little lock in there. So, and you do the same thing, you strip them, all right? All the way around, all the way around. All right, so I'll go on the other side and do the same thing. About an inch off. That's, you know, it doesn't have to be super precise. Okay. All right. One thing you will notice on the 12-3 or on the 14-3, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm used to using 12 gauge wire, but you'll notice that there are the reason that they call them 12-3 or 14-3, they don't consider the ground as being a conductor, okay? They consider the sheeted wire as a conductor. So you have a red one, you have a white one, and you have a black one, okay? On your supply line, where your hot's coming from, where the power supply is coming from, those are called 14-2 wire, and you only have a white one and you have a black one, okay? So what you do is, the first thing you do is you hook up the white one to the white one, okay? Just like that. Okay, you take one of these. I like to use these right here. They're easier to use, and as long as you get a good brand, you should be okay, all right? So you kind of separate these wires like that, put it in the white that comes from the power supply right here, and then you put it in the white on the 14-3, all right? And that one is done. The white to white, and that one is done, all right? So now you locate the black from your power supply, all right? The black from your power supply, and then you take your needle nose plier, and then you kind of fold it like that, and that one will go on your common, okay? The black wire from your power supply will go on your common on your switch, which is the black screw on the switch that you just bought, okay? So go like that. Make sure when you loop them clockwise, because what happens if you don't, it'll undo itself and it won't be you know, straight. I could have used a drill, but I'm just gonna, so that one's done, all right? So we got that one hooked up, the black from the power supply to the black on the switch, which is called the common. Or some switches don't have the black, they have just a brass screw, but you gotta make sure it's always mentioned on the switch somewhere that it's a common, all right? So your grounds will go together, okay? Kind of like that, kind of like you braiding hairs or whatever, and you kind of give them a little solid, make them a little more solid right here like that, And then what you do is you grab your cutting part right here of your tool and you cut it off. All right. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to take this, the ground's very important. You're going to loop it as well. And then you put it on the switch. Same thing, clockwise. All right. And then you tighten it up. That way that's done as well. So your ground and your neutrals are done. So all you got left on this side is your black wire and your red wire. Those are called traveler. The black wire and the red wire, these are the black wire and the red wire coming from the other switch that you got from the 12.3, okay? That's why you have the red and the black, all right? So you take those, and then you just loop them just like I did earlier. And just to make things easier, it doesn't matter which side, you only got 2 screws left, right? On your switch, you got this screw and you got this screw left. They're both brass screws, okay? Because you already got the black screw occupied. So you take the red one, just so you don't get confused, I would put the red one on the other side. It doesn't matter what you do on this side, as long as you got one of the two on, as long as you got them on, okay? And I'll tell you what the difference is, where it makes a difference here in a minute. So I prefer to put them on the side that's got the 1 screw. So you put that on there clockwise, tighten it up. I'll just use a screw gun. All right. So now you got 1 left, right? You got the black wire left. So you just do the same thing. You loop them up and then you put them on like that, clockwise, okay? Like I said, the reason you do it clockwise is so that way when you tighten it up, it pulls it in, all right? So you got this switch is done, right? Now, here's where it becomes crucial, okay? So, same thing like you did over there. You tie your grounds together like that, like you know. All right, so, and then you cut, do the same thing, you cut it off. Kind of tighten it up a little bit right here. All right, same thing you do right here. Right here, and then you put it on, this is the ground, you put it on the ground on your switch, and you tighten it up right here. Okay, so that one's done. Now, you grab another one of these right here, and then you hook up the neutrals together. The whites go together. They don't stop or anything, okay? So you put that in there. Now, the wire that goes to the light, the wire from this switch that goes to the light is a 14-2 wire. You only need a 14-3 wire between the switches. You don't need a 14-3 wire going to the light. So you got the 14-2 wire coming from the supply line, which is your power supply, and between the switches you put your 14-3 wire, okay? So here you got your black right here, that's from the light, okay? That is also called a common, okay? So you do the same thing like you did on the other side. That's also called a common. This is from the light. This is the black from the light, okay? So you put that in on the little black screw right here, and then you tighten it up. Now here comes the tricky part, okay? Here comes the tricky part, okay? Remember how I told you it's easier to just remember, it doesn't matter where you put them on the first switch, but make sure whatever you do on the first switch that you do on the second switch exactly the same. Oh, it's not gonna work, all right? So just so for your remembrance, just put the black on the side where the common screw is, which is the other black wire coming in from the light, Okay, so you do the loop like that, and then you put it on that second brass screw, and then you tighten it up, all right? All right, now, all you got left is a red wire. So all you do is you take the red wire, just loop it up like that with your handy dandy little tool there, and then you put it on that last brass screw, tighten her up like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just, for safety's sake, I mean, to me, it's okay. Just put your, make sure you fold them carefully so you don't, and then you screw them in, all right? I'm not gonna screw them in because, you know, I'm gonna take it back out later. But you screw them in, you know, just make sure you screw them in because that's your project. You gotta screw it in, okay? So now I got an extension cord right here. This is represents the power supply, all right? So I'm gonna plug it in. Okay, and here we go. Lo and behold, it works. See what I mean? Right here. It doesn't matter. It will work, guaranteed. See what I mean? If you would, please check out my, if you want to check out my digital marketing and money-making resources, check out my website below. It's freedomlifebusiness.com, and I will see you on the next video. Until then, please stay healthy, my friend.